Hello there YouTube, Eric McRae, Asparagus Party here, coming in with a commentary today for a character from a series that's quite appropriate for the channel name, being that it's both an anime styled series and also a game. And the character in question is none other than Azure Kite from the .hack GU series. So actually, when .hack GU was first being announced and the trailers were first sort of coming out with English subtitles, I was just entering into high school as far as I can remember, and this makes it a very interesting part of my life because, you know, it's those teenage years where you're so emotionally volatile potentially. So .hack GU was not my first .hack series that I had been into. During those days, it was pretty common for the television cartoon networks to be airing .hack Sign, for example. And for many of us who watched it, like myself, we did get into the .hack infection, mutation, outbreak, and quarantine games. So for me, I had quite a level of familiarity with the characters from this series before the introduction of G. To understand why Azure Kite was such an imposing villain and drew in our imagination so easily, this backdrop will help make sense. Remember that for me at this time, we only had .hack GU Volume 1 just started to be announced in the form of trailers, which are mostly Japanese with English subtitles. So we were still lacking information and only knew what we had from the first 4 .hack games and the .hack Sign series. Now if you remember from those series, we followed Kite as the main character in them, and he was characterized in a way that made what we were seeing very meaningful. So Kite, the protagonist of the first 4 games, he's very much an innocent and pure archetype of a character. You'd notice this in all his interactions. He comes up as a character who's incredibly selfless and concerned for the well-being of others. Eventually, even the purity of his character would win over Balmong, who had previously been quite hostile and antagonistic towards Kite on account of his obtained bracelet.
A great force. The power it holds can bring forth either salvation or destruction, at the whim of the user.
What's that?
The girl, Aura. That's what she said when she gave me the bracelet.
I see. You are indeed the one who should wear the bracelet. I'm sorry for what I've said and done. I apologize.
Balmonk.
I want to restore this world. And like you, I want to help Orca as well. However, it's not something I can accomplish alone. Perhaps you could lend me a hand. I am being selfish. Go right ahead and laugh.
I wouldn't laugh because I happen to have a request too. Care to hear it? I want 2 things. To help Orca and to play in the world that's not corrupted. But it's really not something I can accomplish alone. Could you lend me a hand?
Of course.
Throughout the course of that game, Kite had obtained the same power of data drain that was used by Skeeth, who had put Orca in a coma. And something we saw in the game is that Kite was never the type to PK or attack anyone, and we never see a situation like this, but we can surmise from his character, even if that should ever happen where, for example, if he were attacked by a PKer, he was not the type of character that he'd ever use the data drain technique on an actual player with a human player manning the character. Because of course he would have feared putting the player in a coma, and this is something Kite was not the type to do. He never would want something like that. And now, hitting our YouTube comes these videos of these .hack GU Volume 1 trailers and videos of the battle between Haseo and Azure Kite. And what we see
What's that sound? Tri-edge? You bastard!
For us dot hack fans from the previous games, this new imagery and this new kite was absolutely terrifying and astonishing at the same time. Before, we were used to this kite who was friendly, approachable, supportive, and very much a goody two-shoes in a manner of speaking. But now, without warning, we encountered a completely different version of kite, and we were confused, we were curious. How? Where? When? Why? How did this change come about? The story element easily pulled us in. And this new kite, which would be identified with new imagery, symbolized to us what seemed to be at that time a potential change of character. His face was typically more shaded, his eyes carried a seemingly psychotic widening and robotic-like gaze. His tunic and pants had been stitched together as if his whole body had been ripped in pieces and he was sewn back together, which is obviously extremely important imagery as far as symbolism is concerned. Another symbolic image change was that the new kite had metal shackles on his ankles, as if he had been imprisoned, potentially symbolizing an enslavement of mind. He was imprisoned in some way or had previously been. He no longer possessed his original daggers, but now he wielded the demonic-looking triple-bladed knives, which would be later called in the series Empty Skies. This was a completely new territory for us, and I think it was very compelling because if you think about a lot of the audience of the Dot Hack series, a lot of these were teenagers with volatile emotions. So imagine yourself in the shoes of those young teenagers who maybe go to school and perhaps they get bullied and pushed around a bit, and they're always asking themselves secretly in this part of their mind, why don't I ever lash out? Why don't I ever come to school different? Instead of being so meek, why don't I enact a different version of myself? In a very real way, I think what a lot of people saw in this new character Azure Kite was the same dark potential they saw within themselves, where everybody had this expectation for them to be this very pure and innocent person, and there's always that question in the back of their head, what if I come in as the robotic Terminator-like killer type of archetype? So even though it would be revealed later that this wasn't actually Kite, but a AI that Aura had sort of stitched together with fragmented data remnants of Kite's previous character and employed in her defense, it still stood as a meaningful exploration of philosophical questioning and deep questions of the human emotions and the human heart. with regards to those darker things we ask ourselves. So again, from viewpoints like this, I think this is why a sudden change in Kite as it was perceived and suspected at that time came off as very meaningful and very mysterious for the .hack viewers. At any rate, that's it for today. Thank you very much for your time. God bless you, and I'll see you in the next video. Hello there, Eric McRae here, Asparagus Party. Just want to share a friendly reminder that if you enjoy the content I'm producing, it's very helpful for me if you would like the videos and subscribe to my channel, and also that if you're willing or interested in donating to help my channel growth, I do have a donor box page and a link in every video description. With that said, let's get into the video. Thank you very much for your time.